Hello Internet, Taliesin here, and welcome to another episode of the Weekly Reset, Taliesin and Evitel's wondrous wisdom show, in a week where the patch 9.1.5 PTR continues to take shape and continues to be added to, with even more wishlist items being ticked off, as we will see when we recap all of the changes and upcoming changes in this episode. And genuinely, at this stage, you could be forgiven for thinking that 9.15 goes beyond just totally caving to the player base because Blizz are bleeding subs and there's a new cool kid MMO or two in town taking all the attention, but just for a patch or whatever, and then business as usual next time. And genuinely into this represents a legit change in the way World of Warcraft content will be structured and designed in terms of the player's interaction with it from now on. I'm not saying that is what's happening, okay? Just that you'd be forgiven for thinking so. And when I say the way we interact with the game, I mean in terms of repeatable content, I mean general ease of use, and perhaps most importantly of all, the ease of keeping alternative characters up to date. Something that WoW has always been a bit strict and punishing on, even more noticeable in Shadowlands, the alt expansion, with how many different grinds there are to keep up with. You've got the story, you've got Renown, you've got Covenant Sanctums, legendary crafting, Korthia with all its reps and artifact research, you've got tower knowledge, and all of those things are the basis of what an MMORPG is. They are each one to various degrees fun and worthwhile and fulfilling once. And personally, I am of the opinion that every one of those things that I've just mentioned should be account-wide, precisely so that they can be involved and deep and time-consuming and important on your main character, just as they should be, but then your alts are just that. Another class that you swap to play when you want to, where the only thing you need to worry about pretty much is gearing and nothing much else. That means, in my opinion, every shield story quest, skippable on alts. Renown for each individual covenant, account-wide. Each individual sanctum progress and upgrades, account-wide. Rep, almost always account-wide. Artifact research and Korthia, it's account-wide. It's account-wide. Anima and Soul Ash and Soul Cinders, transferable between characters on the same account. And I know, this is an attitude which in the past has had me called casual or everything that's wrong with the game by you. Actually, you've called me that. But I think in a game where playing alts is expected and encouraged to the extent that it is in modern WoW, I think account-wide progress on the core systems allows those core systems to be deeper and more involved and more meaningful when you only have to design them to be done once and not 2, 3, 13 times per player. And with 9.15, Blizz do seem to be softening on this. And that's good in my opinion. So a lot of these issues have already been met by promised 9.15 changes, with more being announced all the time, which is what this show is for, isn't it? So let's look at this week's 9.15 developments, and there's a lot to get through. There's the news that in 9.15 we will be able to send anima to alts. Currency transferable between characters is a big yes, boss man, from me. That's awesome. There's slot-specific Korthian armaments instead of what we currently have, which is absolutely random Korthian arguments, making catch-up gearing on alts easier. Big dub. There's changes to Torghast, such as being able to get all of the souls that you need for your weekly souls calling quest from Torghast. That is a dub so big, I'm going to need to finish it in 2 sittings. And of course, changes to Soul Cinders, having the amount that you get from finishing a Torghast run being greatly increased, over double for lower layers, and just about double at layer 12, from 180 to 350, and even more important than that, no weekly reward cap from Torghast, which means you will get these Soul Cinders and Soul Ash every time you complete a Torghast wing, which means Soul Cinders are now infinitely farmable. And fam, I need to put on these shades to keep from being blinded by the size of that dub. Holy shit, hands up who expected that. No, not who wanted that. Obviously that's everyone. I said who expected it. Put that hand down, you lying shit. No one expected that, I'm sure. Behold, a golden new era in Torghast. Torghast ain't gonna be Chorghast anymore? Oh, well, hold up there, cowboy, because yes, the massive increase in Soul Cinders from Torghast, but also from Tormentors and Assaults and Missions means that, of course, overall, you will have to do a lot less Torghast for your legendaries, but you still have to do it, right? Like, this is brilliant news because it means if you need a new legendary, you can bust it out in a day with no caps or gating to stop you, as it should be, in my opinion. But that might still feel like a bit of a chore, especially to higher end players who, make no mistake, will be expected to be able to rustle up a new legendary as and when it is needed, which is precisely the kind of approach to the game that the capped and gated nature of Torghast's original reward structure was designed to prevent. And like I say, I am wholly on the side of 99% of the player base here. Uncapped, infinitely grindable currencies are a dub so big, I'm gonna need to zoom out to fully accommodate it, you know? But I could be wrong. And I don't think this will happen, obviously, but it would be a little bit funny if it turned out Blizz were right to stop people infinitely grinding this stuff, and the change ends up being one that people really hate. I don't think that will happen. It'd just be funny. I think this is great. Make it greater by making Soul Cinders transferable among characters like Anima and Soul Ash, and this will be the kind of dub our grandchildren will sing songs about, boss man. We already know that Covenants will be essentially freely swappable in 9.15, but this week we were introduced to the Broker Mark of Distinction, which is currently purchasable on the PTR by any character at Renown 80 in a Covenant for 500 gold, and which can be used on an ult to instantly gain level 40 Renown in that Covenant, essentially skipping all of 9.0's Renown progress, but leaving you with all of 9.1's 40 levels still to gain. And yes, Renown is very quick and easy to catch up on, more so in 9.15. And yes, catching up on Renown is ungated and can be infinitely ground out. And yes, obviously being 40 on an ult for essentially free is better than not being 40. It is undeniably a massive improvement. Honestly, what is this half-assed solution? How could anyone possibly be happy with this? They are giving a half-assed solution to something that shouldn't be in the game in the first place. There should be no grind whatsoever behind swapping Covenants. Ooh, two pretty common responses there, and I will say that I probably agree with the first one, but very much disagree with the second. Because yeah, this is a half measure. If I've hit 80 in Venthyr on one character, there's not really much to gain from an enjoying the game point of view for me to do it again on another. And I'm speaking as someone who thinks that Renown works reasonably well as a timed delivery system that you still feel like you're working towards. I don't think it's all that great as a power progression system, but very much so as a quality of life, cosmetic, and story delivery system. But any progress on an ult is pretty much arbitrary and pointless feeling. I see no reason why my Venthyr Renown progress, as well as all my Sanctum upgrade progress for that matter, shouldn't be account-wide at this point. But that second comment, that there should be no grind whatsoever to swapping Covenants, I see this said a lot, and I'm afraid I do disagree. In 9.15, there isn't a grind behind swapping Covenants, but you do of course need to progress your Renown in each Covenant individually to get the very most out of it. And honestly, I think that's good. I think that's how it should be. I don't want to be automatically at Renown 80 in all 4 Covenants just because I'm 80 on one. Being able to swap between the Covenants at will is a good thing, but that doesn't mean that I don't want to work to unlock everything in those Covenants once. Remember, when I say this stuff, I always just mean once, okay, on one character. And I want there to be no work involved in progressing and upgrading and improving my power in these different teams. That's like one of the appeals of the genre, you know? That's one of the fun things about the game for me. If I'm going to be swapping between 4 different Covenants, I want to have earned it. I want to have completed the stories and unlocked and leveled the soul binds once. Once is gravy. It's the repeating of it that I'm against. So yeah, Blizz, make this Alt Renown MacGuffin award your Alt characters the full 80 Renown in that specific Covenant that you have already earned on your main to buy the MacGuffin. Or look, at the very least, make it award 40 levels rather than just take you to level 40. Then we'd be talking about a dub so large and significant that they'd have to put it in a museum with various different viewing platforms at different angles because it's the only way people could truly appreciate the full majesty of the dub. There's been some data mining from Wowhead this week, which really is that level of dub, in my opinion. But you know what? You've been listening to me talk for ages now.
Customization options. Oh, hi, by the way. It's been a while. You look great. Have you been working out? But this week we learned that along with Nightborn, Void Elves, and Lightforged Draenei, Highmountain Tauren would be getting some 9.1.5 love too. Everyone's second favorite playable bovines, out of 2, were the subject of a new blue post showing off some of the new horns, jewelry, beard, sideburn, body, and tail options. And then Wowhead Wowhead Datamined a whole bunch more for us to look at. Disappointment out of the way first, okay? There is no option for the shaggy eye-covering cow fringe that standard Tauren had access to. Sorry. But there's a whole lot you can get excited about. Some personal highlights include white horns, incredibly emo fringes for when you've been listening to Moo Chemical Romance or Paramoose. God, I'm so sorry. Tally said if I didn't include those, then I wouldn't be allowed in the show this week. An assortment of really quite stylish leather horn sheaths, the world's biggest nose ring, and tail jewelry. Jewelry for your tail. I really do like how rugged and I guess more unkempt this helps make the Highmountain look over their field-dwelling brethren. And most of these options go well beyond the new face paint colors and designs that I would have expected when you told me that Meese? We're getting more options. Now we basically only need Dark Ranger options for Blood Elves or Forsaken, and we're good for another few years, I'd say. The new Lightforged Talbook was also datamined this week, which looks like it might be the Lightforged Draenei Paladin steed. And as reported last week, Wowhead have been uncovering recolors of the new Tier 20 Tomb of Sargeras mythic armor sets. And these are really good. Like glowy purple shadowy priest version, or the monk tiger set in orange because that's the color that tigers are? Or holy shit, the red warlock set? How has this never been a thing before? Look how amazing this looks. Or the druid? We don't need to talk about the druid or the DK. Shh. But Fell Shaman is a banger, warrior and demon hunter, and even the hunter set, which is one of my least favorite hunter sets in the entire game, manages to look better with its new blue and red sports vibe. But up until now, the question has been, why are these sets? What will they be the reward for? We assumed probably from the upcoming Legion Timewalking Mythic Plus, but now it looks like it is actually more likely to be
Mage Tower. Wowhead uncovered new spell modifications and portals to the various Legion Mage Tower scenarios, which suggest, and when I say suggest, honestly, when this kind of thing turns up, it is pretty much a cast iron guarantee 9 times out of 10, that the Mage Tower will be making a return in Legion Timewalking 2. Yes, that is 2 E's. That's how important it is. As you will absolutely know if you follow this channel at all, there is one thing that we here at T&E have been crying out for non-stop for the last few years, and that is playable Tuskar. But after that, it's Blizzard not being an evil piece of shit corporation who don't respond to their employees' incredibly reasonable demands in the wake of discrimination and harassment suits, something they still haven't done because they are shit and have been shit since the day they were born, and never forget that, and seriously, F them. But after that, the return of the Mage Tower. And I know opinions are split on this, but I consider the Mage Tower, where each spec in the game had to complete one of 7 different challenges to unlock a special and exclusive appearance for their artifact weapon, to be one of, if not the finest single-player endgame content that this game has ever given us. It's pretty much the whole reason I don't remember there being a content drought at the end of Legion, because there definitely was, but I was busy trying to grab all those appearances before the end of the expansion when they would disappear forever, along with the Mage Tower. Or so we thought. So honestly, the thought of being able to jump in and try these again has me giddy with excitement, especially that in Legion, you simply couldn't repeat them after beating them first time around. Seriously, you won the Mage Tower on Fury Warrior, for example. Congratulations, well done, but there was literally no way for you to enter it again as a Fury Warrior. I hope you enjoyed it, because you were done. And I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, but Taliesin, how will they balance all those old challenges built for the old specs around their more modern iterations? Which is a good point, or at least it would be if the OG Mage Tower challenges had been even slightly balanced in the first place, which they definitely weren't. The tank challenge was considerably easier on Demon Hunter than Paladin, for example. The twin scenario could be completely and effortlessly cheesed by a Shadow Priest using Surrender to Madness, while the same challenge was basically impossible for Affliction Warlock without a very specific legendary. The Healer challenge was just shit for everyone. 15 minutes of pure joyless misery, which should be encased in concrete and thrown in the North Sea. But honestly, if it coming back is the price we pay for getting the others, so be it. I can live with it. And I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, but Taliesin, I worked really hard to get those appearances at the time. I feel like my effort will be undermined if any old scrub can come along and get them now in Timewalking. And okay, this is something I think we need to have a little chat about, because even if the original Mage Tower artifact appearances were the reward from Timewalking, I am the proud owner of around 30 of them. I worked very hard playing some classes that I am really not very good at playing, but it was worth it because now I have the Werebear and the Disco Kitten and the Paladin Flail. Holy shit, it is so beautiful. And the Prot Warrior Flail, which in Shadowlands I can dual wield on my Fury Warrior. Holy heck! I've got the Paper Lantern Brewmaster Pole and the Discipline Priest Staff, which I then did an unholy amount of rated battlegrounds on to unlock the shocking pink recolor for, and which remains to this day my favorite weapon ever in the game. So what I'm saying is I have just as much right to get upset about the idea of the exclusivity of these rewards being taken away as anyone. But honestly, who cares? I've had 3 or 4 years to enjoy them. Let people get the Werebear, seriously. Now, would I like there to be new rewards as well? Yes, I would, but not to stop people getting the artifact appearances, but because as someone who has those appearances, I'd kind of like a new reward to aim for myself when I go back into the Mage Tower, you know? Which is, it turns out, exactly what I've got, because it certainly does seem like this is a pointless conversation anyway, and that the OG artifacts aren't even an option here. It certainly seems like those T20 recolors are the most likely reward being lined up for Timewalking Mage Tower, which makes sense. They were originally in Tomb of Sargeras, which is 7.2 content, the same as Mage Tower. After all, it would be fitting. And I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, but Taliesin, if Mage Tower is so good, why limit it to Timewalking? Why not make it a permanent feature? And I would totally agree with you on that. Honestly, I think it should be. World of Warcraft has so much old content that we just don't use. And you know, some of it's really good. You know, I think that, although I can see how it being an occasional Timewalking event is also in keeping with how we experienced Mage Tower the first time around. It was only up a third of the time, and you had to farm a whole bunch of nether shards on the broken shore for each single attempt. So unlike Legion Mythic Plus, which I think should absolutely be constant and permanent, I'm slightly more at peace with Mage Tower being a traditional part of the Timewalking rotation, I guess. As long as entry is free and unlimited, obviously, Blizz, now listen to me here, okay? Mage Tower is a massive dub. Like, a dub so big, this house can't contain it. Well done. But listen to me, okay? Look at me. Don't you go making us farm nether shards to get into this thing. And do not even think about doing something stupid like making it a limited amount of attempts per day. I'm sure you wouldn't, but I just want to remind you, just in case. Guys, Mage Tower is coming back. This is so exciting. Man, I hope it is coming back now and this wasn't just some random thing. I would look very silly. Mage Tower, return of Mage Tower.
I mean, is this
it's
for
back.
sure?
It's 100%, absolutely, undeniably been datamined some spells from Wowhead. There's no one can deny that.
I mean,
if you do, you're a fool. Okay, we've been doing this for a while, okay?
I know.
You know, maybe if we just started doing the weekly reset or whatever, you know, we'd be a bit more cautious, but we've been around, we know how these things work, okay? When you see spells like this, particularly with the Legion Mythic Plus and stuff like that.
You know what they're for.
That's there for a reason.
More or less,
yeah,
right?
absolutely.
Exactly.
And it suddenly makes sense, all these T20 sets and things like that. And I mean, at this moment, I would bet my marriage on it.
Well, you can have it.
Thanks.
Yeah.
What are your memories of the Mage Tower?
I always thought of it as quite difficult because at the time I was playing on a MacBook without a mouse.
On a trackpad.
On a trackpad.
Watching you play the Hunter Mage Tower and winning
twins.
Defeating it, doing twins with a thumb on the trackpad was one of the finest gaming experiences of my life.
And
honestly.
there's some clicking and it was like a very coordinated thing, and so it was probably much harder than it should have been.
But you still did it. That's the thing.
I did it. I only did it.
A lot of movement in that twins as well. You did really well.
And that's the thing. It was all about kiting and movement, and I got there in the end. I was really proud, and I actually really enjoyed having a challenge, like a super challenge. I mean, WoW is the kind of game that I could play on a trackpad. Like, I was actually raiding when I started raiding when I was using the trackpad. You know, not high ends.
No one could tell. No one could tell. We thought she was just rubbish at the game. Turn around and get that mob, please, Evie. Yeah, sure. Evie, could you sit around a bit quicker?
Yeah, and that's the thing. Because I was using a trackpad, I couldn't. I had to keyboard and turn. I was a keyboard turner, so I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to everyone who had to play with me.
And now
back
you
then.
use a mouse, which has improved your game. Like now,
I use
so
an
much quicker to get down.
actual PC.
So much quicker to get down to the action bar and click the abilities with the mouse.
I only click abilities in Final Fantasy 14. They take so. It's like.
But no, like, all joking aside, genuinely, it was a joy to watch you do that.
It was
And
cool.
I was looking for footage because we lost our hard drive with like all of our WOD and Legion
old
footage,
stuff,
like the good old stuff. So I was looking through some old weekly resets from the week that Mage Tower released, and it was so funny, some of the comments from the forums about them, because obviously, like, you know, we think of it as being this like pinnacle of single player entertainment now, but of course, you know, people were working really hard. They put because you had to put resources into the 3 different things on the Broken Shore to open them up for like a week, and then they would shut down. You'd have to put the resources into something else, and then you had to do the whole circuit before you could come back around again. And so like Mage Tower was only up a third of the time, and less actually, and like people obviously put all of their resources into Mage Tower the second 7.2 went live. So it was the first one that went up, and like I think most people expected to go in and one-shot it. And so you had like, and it was like at level, it was incredibly hard. Even the Discipline Priest one was really difficult at level. And you got comments on the forums which are like, if I am unable to get my Mage Tower appearance by the time Mage Tower is destroyed, I will unsub from the game. It's a consumer issue. I spent my time in-game gathering these war supplies to open the Mage Tower, and now it's going to go, and I wasn't able to get my appearance. So, as a consumer, I feel like, I'm not exaggerating. These are literal. I'm gonna put a link to that video here, and you can go and watch it. Mostly so you can realize how much nicer our camera is now.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it was difficult, and it could be frustrating. And I'm not gonna lie, I completely forgot about the bit where it could be destroyed, and then you had to wait for like ages.
Well, and you had to get nether shards to even go in there. So So like you'd have like maybe 4 or 5 attempts, and you wouldn't do it. And then you'd be like, oh, okay, right, well, I almost did it that time. I got a bit further, so, oh, no, I have to spend like an hour or 2 farming nether shards so I can actually go in there again.
Okay, I'm never doing Mage Tower again.
Like, all of these, things that we've touched on in this episode, as usual, Wowhead basically do better. So check it out in the description below. We've got, like, links to interesting articles that we think you'll find useful related to this video.
There they are.
Do it. Just like some little tidbits of news that we didn't actually put in the main show. Warlock Portals. There's a special item that is allowing you to like auto use the nearest Warlock portal, so you'll never have to click on a Warlock portal again.
I read about this.
How amazing is that?
Raiders.
Like, it's good for everyone. Anyone like dungeon raiders, warlocks, basically anyone who's ever in a group with a warlock. That's a joy. Like, that's awesome.
Yeah,
and I
cool.
need that. And you can put it on a keybind and it'd be there. And do you know the best thing about that?
What?
They could make it even better by having a toggle button in your keybinds, which would mean that you cannot manually click on a Warlock portal.
Accidentally.
It's one thing being able to automatically use the nearest one, but if I've got that, then I don't need to be able to click on them, right? So give me the ability to disable clicking on gateways.
Okay.
And with that new item as well, that would be the perfect combo.
That'd be pretty cool.
It'd be amazing. Because the amount of times I've just gone to like move my camera in the middle of like a hectic fight, and I've ended up the other side of the room, like in fire or whatever.
Whoops.
I could count on one hand, but it was still very annoying.
Yeah, but you remember it, right? You remember it vividly.
And another change, when you create a group now in the group finder, if you are the group creator, you can still browse other listings.
Oh, thank God.
Yeah, seriously, that's actually really good.
Why have we waited so long for this?
Amazing. And and obviously make it so that people in the group can as well. Exactly. I can see why they don't do that.
I know, but
who cares? Exactly. We've evolved now.
Exactly.
You know,
we have evolved as WoW players.
Group finder without being able to browse other listings, that's like, you know, bone tools, and group finder being that's steel. That's hard steel, or at the very least flint. You thought I was talking about sex toys.
Just because you looked down at yourself when you said it.
Cannot wait to bring you even more ridiculous 9.15 news. What do you think the next 9.15 news will be? Like, Ian Hazakostas will get a tattoo of your face on his chest. Like, it'll be like, please, like, what do you want? What do you want? Like, do you want me to play you a song? Ian Hazakostas records everyone a song. Send your requests. Like,
I mean, what What's left?
Well, Tusker, we can't let this opportunity when Blizz are giving out like sweets at a children's party, just anything that you want, just to try. It's like at the moment, it's like, you know, when you're just, hey, Anirin, should we watch some TV? Like, there you go, boom. Okay, mummy and daddy gonna have a coffee and maybe a wine and maybe go on holiday. You just watch the TV. Like, it's like that at Blizzard right now, and we cannot let this opportunity pass without playable Tuskars.
right.
If we don't
You're
get
right.
playable Tuskars now, we might never get them.
Playable Tuskar, Dark Rangers, factions are dissolved. You can do whatever you
Whoa,
want.
well that's big.
And-
Factions dissolved. You would
whatever.
disband the Horde and Alliance.
Look, they're stale.
Okay,
stale.
here's what I think. I wouldn't disband the Horde and Alliance.
What would
I'd
you
keep
do?
Horde and Alliance, but I would just like very much relax grouping rules for like instances.
Okay, what about anyone can join either one? What if any race can join either faction?
What, like yeah, okay. Yeah.
And what if you can also switch whenever you want?
Yeah, any okay, any race can join any
Maybe
faction.
not.
But also, even with that, Horde and Alliance can still group together for instance content.
That would be super fun.
They're there for essentially, you know, like just flavor.
Okay, listen, I don't think I actually want factions dissolved.
We'll look forward to telling you all about that. But thank you for joining us today. If you liked
Hey.
this episode, don't thank us. Thank our patrons who give their actual real life money
They do.
to make all of our work happen. Patrons,
peeps.
thank you.
You guys are the
Without
best.
you, genuinely, there'd be a whole lot less Taliesin and Evitel.
Yeah.
A whole lot less, because we wouldn't be able to eat. If you didn't like it, downvote the shit out of it. Remember, my name is Ashifal. I needed pictures of all of the Mage Tower appearances, and I remembered that Ash got all 36 of them, because they are a legend.
Good work, Ash.
My name is Taliesin, from me
And me, Evitel.
and a night. We go pick him up from in front of the TV now.
Yeah.
Cheerio.